Hi everyone, this is Karen Fomafung, your Agile Evangelist, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about one of the comments that someone left on the video that we posted last week, and it was all about how to effectively handle quiet team members towards high performance. So someone dropped a comment and requesting that I make a follow-up video to address when it's the other way around, when it's a particular team member or a few team members always talking over everyone else, including the Scrum Master. So how do we handle that situation? So yes, this is going to be our topic of today. So I'm just going to share my perspective and my experience on how to deal with team members that usually talk over everyone else, including the Scrum Master. Now, if this is your first time here, you're so welcome. Just so you stay in sync with what we do here on a weekly basis, which is all about knowledge sharing, knowledge enhancement, and knowledge sharpening around Agile, Scrum, project management, product development. Please turn on that subscription button, that notification bell, so you will never miss out on any content. If you're a returning subscriber, a returning viewer, you're always welcome, and I love you so much. Now, just so I forget, if you're looking for a one-on-one mentoring coaching services that will help you land that first role as a Scrum Master, let's say that you're already certified, you have all the knowledge that you could possibly have, and you've been trying to break into this market and you've been getting rejections, and you're not sure how to go about it, you would agree with me that it's not easy. But the good news is that's what we specialize in doing. We've been helping a lot of people, so if you are in that situation, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Just look right up there. You see our contact information there, or go to the description box to find our contact information. Reach out to us. We will be so more than glad to help you. If you've also been contemplating on exploring this path, you are just a starter, you have no idea what Agile and Scrum is all about, we also offer trainings. We offer mentoring, coaching, that will help you, walk you through all the process that you need in order to be successful, including mindset transformation, including boosting that self-confidence. Please reach out to us. We'll be so glad to help you. Also, if you're already on the field and struggling to do your job, maybe you just landed this first role, you're not sure how to go about it, or you've already been working for a while and you're still not sure how to successfully go about these things, please reach out to us. Having a mentor is a necessity. It is a necessity. You have to invest in yourself. Trust me, the gain that comes with you doing this little sacrifice, looking for a committed mentor, trust me, it's gonna be life changing. I have my mentor. I have my personal mentor that I always have to fall back to whenever I need support in any area around this particular Agile. So having a mentor is a necessity. Trust me. If you are looking for one, we will be so more than glad to help you. We've been helping a lot of people, so please do not hesitate. Thank you so much. Now let's go right into our topic of today. So how do you effectively handle a situation where one team member just keeps talking over everyone else, including the Scrum Master? How do you handle that situation? I mean, this is actually the reality on the ground. We face this kind of issues every single time on the ground. So I would say that in almost all of the teams that I have supported, in the past, there is always that one person that will always, talk over everyone else. So let me tell you this little story. So there was a time when I was working with one of the teams in the past. So there was one of the team members who was the tech lead. He was very smart, very, very smart when it comes to the technical aspect of the work, but everything else was sorry. So when I was still in the observation phase, when I just joined that organization, and then I was still observing, because usually when I join an organization, I usually try to connect with the team members one-on-one to just get to know them on a personal level, gather more insight on them, on the team dynamic, and then I usually seize that opportunity to just hear that their pain points, their immediate pain points, to really learn about their magic wands and stuff like that. And then I would observe and see if 1, 2, 3, 4 people are mentioning the same person's name as someone that is not is resistant, or someone that I should be aware of. Okay, I take it as a red flag, and I make sure I always ask that question, like, okay, so is there anyone that I should be aware of as far as the Agile and Scrum practice is concerned? I usually say that. So if they keep mentioning the same person's name, I take that very seriously. However, I always try not to make assumptions based on what people have told me. So, but I will take that information and then I will continue to observe for myself what's really going on, So I usually do that. So now, when I was still in the observation phase, when I think it was like around the first 3 weeks when I joined that organization, we connected for a retrospective. I realized that there was a time when one of the team members, and that team member was more of a junior team member, and the team member as well was also an offshore team member. Trust me, most of these offshore team members, especially as contractors, they want to keep their job to the best of their ability. They don't want to say anything that may jeopardize their work, So if you just do the least thing that they may feel threatened around their job security, trust me, it's going to shut them down completely. It's going to shut them down. It would cease any possibility for them to be able to open up and to be able to be courageous. These 2 key things, it would affect them so bad. So I realized that one of these team members mentioned that acceptance, because they carried over almost 60% of their stories, so they carried over up to this amount of work. So one team member raised that they should try to complete their stories. They should try to complete their story. I mean, the team member who raised this was the tech lead that I already kind of got hints about. So he mentioned that and the way he was putting it, the whole thing, that you never complete any stories. Why are you not completing your stories? You carry over all of the stories and all of that. So when he mentioned that, another team member commented that they accept that he was struggling in the middle of the sprints because the acceptance criteria wasn't very clear, and then he tried to get information, but the tech lead wasn't available, and it was a fact. The tech lead wasn't available to provide that information. That is why they are carrying over this story. Even before that person landed, the tech lead had just kind of jumped up and was like, that doesn't make no sense. That's how the tech lead sounded, so disrespectful. The tech lead was like, doesn't make any sense. Why didn't you raise this up during sprint planning? It was your job to raise this up during sprint planning and all of that. So I just observed that. I'm like, okay, it validated everything I've already learned about this tech lead, so, and then we started, and I didn't say nothing at that point. So we started a new sprint, and the sprint was ongoing. I noticed that one of the team members as well emailed the tech lead, adding me to it, CCing the PO as well, asking for more insight on the description of that user story. Clearly, the user story wasn't very clear enough for that team member. So again, that tech lead was the person who wrote that user story. So they reached out to that tech lead, tried to get more information, but the tech lead just attacked that. I'll call it, shut the person down. That tech lead just shut that team member down. It's like but that anybody should be able to understand this user story, because the description is very clear. It's so clear that anybody should be able to understand it. So I don't understand what you want. So to me that was so weird. Like, what's going on around here? So after I observed that, okay, clearly I realized that this team member, this tech lead, he's smart. He was a very cross-functional team member, very, very cross-functional. So I'm like, okay, how do I help this team? So these were the steps that I took to try to, fix that situation. To me, I thought that the culture was there was something wrong with that culture. So the first thing I did was I tried to connect with the team to find out if they have a working agreement. So they said they do have a working agreement, and then I asked to take a look at the working agreement. So I went through the working agreement, and then I saw some gaps in the working agreement. So I didn't see anything around the Scrum values in their working agreement, how they want to be working together. I didn't see anything. The things that I really saw in the working agreement was more about definition of ready, and it wasn't even a good definition of ready. I saw definition of done. I saw some few things like that, but around the Scrum values, it wasn't part of your working agreement. Okay, I thought that was a gap. So I talked to the team, and I asked them if we should that I have identified some gaps in the working agreement, and if they'll be okay with us refining or reviewing these working agreement or enhancing the working agreement. So everyone agreed to it, and then I called everyone together in that meeting. I seized that as an opportunity for us to set what I call clear expectations. And in the process of setting that clear expectations, I seized the first 15 minutes to clearly, train the team on what we call the Scrum values, because I tried to ask them if they have any understanding on what Scrum values are. They were not really sure. So that was, to me, that was a gap. So I seized that opportunity during that event. I trained them on what we call the Scrum values and the purpose of these Scrum values and why they are important to be the foundation of everything that we do as a team. So I emphasize on respect. I emphasize on openness, because those were the two key things that I had observed. So I even quoted an example based on fact. I quoted an example that there was this time when during retro, what happened, like the story I already narrated here. I brought that up. I was very open about it, that I clearly communicated with the team, that okay, it's very important that we reflect these values, because as a team we have the same goal. We have the same goal, which means that if one person is failing, we all are failing. If one person is succeeding, we all are succeeding. At the end of the sprint, the stakeholders are not looking at who did which number of story points. That's not what they are looking at. The stakeholders are looking at, did we meet the sprint goal? And we don't have goal per team member. We have one sprint goal. So which means that we all have to support each other in order to achieve that sprint goal. So if we are seizing the opportunity for team members to be able to open up, or be courageous to challenge the status quo if they see that something is not going right, we all that's detrimental to us all. So I just trained them all on these things, and so we agreed to add all of these 5 Scrum values as part of our working agreement. That clearly we stated it that okay, from today team members will not talk on each other. They will be respectful of one another. If anybody is talking, the rest of the team is supposed to listen and not talk over anybody. Once they are done, then you can raise your point and raise it as long as you remain respectful. I communicated the meaning of being open. I communicated the meaning of being focused, the meaning of being committed and courageous. Because clearly, if team members are not empowered to be open, if they are not empowered, to be courageous, gradually they will be disconnected, they will be disengaged, and they will not be able to commit anymore, and they may not be able to be focused anymore, and that will clearly affect the outcome of the sprint. So these were all of the things that I raised, so we set that as a working agreement. So that was the first thing I did: set that clear expectation and make sure that the team members understand the meaning of the Scrum values. So I did that. So that was also very helpful. And as we continue during things like our retrospective, if I realize that a particular team member expressed or demonstrated a particular Scrum value, like openness. Like there was a time when one of the team members said that, their story, they underestimated this work. He may not be able to finish this work, and this was like in the middle of the sprint. So when we connected for our retrospective, I recognized that team member. I encouraged the team member that this is awesome. This is exactly what we want to continue to see. Because if you're not open, there is no way we can quickly identify gaps and quickly make adjustments. You see, so I encouraged that, and just because I did that, you see, other team members now were able to be open to, because they want to be recognized. They want to be recognized. And then from time to time, now, since we already have that working agreement set, when this tech lead try to talk over people, like when we connect for the next retro, I will bring up that team agreement. We review it like it was a tradition for us. After a while, we'll constantly review our team charter to remind ourselves on our working agreement. And then and once we do that, again, the team member will just kind of relax, And then there was other time, so when we connect for meetings, and then I realized that, because habits it's very hard to change people's habit, though. It's very, very hard. So I realized that the team member wasn't like, that tech lead wasn't like he's a terrible person, but he was already very used to acting like that, since he felt he was very powerful. He thought that he was very powerful, and again, he was a team lead. So whenever we connect for meetings, what I usually do is, if I sense that he's getting into that mood of trying to talk over everyone and shut everyone else down, so when he does that, after he's done, I'll let him talk. After he's done talking, I'll just act like I didn't even hear his point, and then I'll refer back to that team member that was trying to talk, and I was like, okay, I'll just mention his name. For example, I'll just say, I'm George. Okay, so George, let's come back to you later. So Peter was trying to say something. So Peter, can you please complete your comment? I'll do that. And trust me, when they do that to you, you feel embarrassed. And you will be conscious when you want to talk over people. So I would do that constantly. Anytime you try to shut people down when people are talking, I would let him talk. Once it's done, I'll be like, okay, we'll come back to your comment, but I'll mention the person's name. So you were saying something, would you please complete your comments? And then I'll let that person talk. And once the person is done, before we'll see if we can evaluate whatever the talkative person was saying. So yeah, so these are the few steps that I have always taken to try to help everyone feel the same in the team, to help everyone feel respected in the team, to help everyone feel like we are all equal. But the number one key takeaway that I like to take out of everything I've said is that set your clear expectations. Set your clear expectation. If you join the team, you realize that they already have some form of working agreement, ensure that these Scrum values are part of it. Communicate it. Make sure that everyone understands it. It shouldn't just be some buzzwords or anything like that. Be sure that they all understand it, and from day to day, ensure that you're following up and continuously coach them so that they reflect these values. Because if they reflect these values, there is just no way they wouldn't understand understand the meaning of being respectful, because talking down on everyone else is disrespectful. So once they reflect these values, everything else will fall in place. It will reflect on the work that they are doing. It will reflect on the quality of the work. It will reflect on their team spirit. It will reflect how they treat each other, So that is the key takeaway. So if your team doesn't have a working agreement, make sure that you help them establish one. If you join and you realize that there is a working agreement, ensure that you review that working agreement, identify gaps in it, and ensure that you are closing these gaps. So that is gonna be the end of this video. Again, I hope this was helpful. I hope that answered your question. My follower who suggested this, I hope this cleared whatever you were thinking. So if you have any other idea on how you handle this situation, please do not hesitate to visit the comment section and drop your thoughts. We all are here to learn. Just because I show up every time and share my ideas, it doesn't mean I know everything. Trust me, I don't know everything at all. Trust me on that. Thank you so much. If this is your first time here, again, please don't forget to turn on that subscription button. If you're looking for a one-on-one mentoring coaching services, please reach out to us directly. We will help you break through your struggles on the ground as Scrum Master, Agile Coach. Thank you so much, and hope to talk to you next week. Bye.